Update. My ex 25 female left me 27 male after a cancer diagnosis 3 years ago and now wants to be involved in my life and friends again. I am very conflicted and not sure what to do. Original post. I met my ex almost 7 years ago and we started casually seeing each other around 2018. Our relationship was very chaotic and unhealthy in the beginning for reasons that I do not wish to disclose, but I was at fault. I hurt her really bad and we ended up ruining our friendship. We stopped talking for a period of time and then I finally reached out after almost a year, realizing that I missed what we had. She was reluctant, but we gave it a go. Our relationship for that period was fulfilling and I was very much in love with her. It felt safe and loving. However, I wasn't very sure how realistic things were. We got back together right before the pandemic started, so there wasn't a whole lot for us to do except spend time together. My ex was struggling a bit with some life choices and what to do next. Her family as well was going through a very difficult period, with her parents splitting and her dad moving abroad for work. Her relationship with her mother is not great either. She wasn't in school and was unsure of her career path. I, on the other hand, was doing a dual degree at a very prominent college, a D1 varsity athlete, and was planning on going to an Ivy League school for my master's. I never brought this up to her or made her less, and I always actively encouraged her to go back to school, which she did. I love her very much and cared about her a lot because she made me feel safe and loved. In July 2020, I started having some symptoms around my groin during training after a bad session and went in for an MRI. It was determined that I had torn my groin, so I went in for an operation shortly after. Before the operation, my doctor did some blood work that came back very skeptical. And during the operation, they found a tumor in my groin. It was cancerous, but they caught it very early on, so the prognosis was okay. However, the treatment was not good. I couldn't train anymore and was only working and doing my classes online. 3 weeks after the surgery, and after introducing me to her family, my ex comes to my place and breaks up with me, saying the spark is gone. She doesn't love me anymore and doesn't want to work on this. I absolutely broke down mentally and was crushed. She went on to move on within a couple of hours when my friend found her Tinder, and I was devastated. To make things much more difficult, a week later, my best friend from childhood dies in his sleep. I told her we could reevaluate things after a month, but I was so crushed/hurt that I ended up cutting all ties. The next few months were mentally the darkest period of my life. Eventually, I was cleared to start training again and was doing classes online due to the pandemic, but mentally I was banged up. A lot of therapy, crying, and mental breakdowns. I moved on with someone else, but that relationship ended shortly because it wasn't fair for her to be put through what I was going through. During this time, my ex was bragging to our mutual friends about how she was really enjoying her phase and that she was happy she left me. She also went and slept with my former best friend who she knew hurt me very much in the past, and I found out about it, which crushed me. Coupled with her accidentally running into me at some of the spots I frequent, I was very angry and upset. Since then, I graduated with 2 degrees, got accepted into an Ivy League school for my master's, and started a really good job. I healed a lot through therapy and working on myself, and even got to qualify for a major sporting event. Lo and behold, while all of this is happening, she decides to reach recently and tells me how proud she is of me, and then asks if we could talk and have coffee. That she misses our friendship and wants to be involved in my life again. Prior to this, she was going around and telling my mutual friends that she was having second thoughts and was thinking of reaching out to talk to me. This is all while she's in a relationship with someone else, and I find that downright disrespectful. My mind is telling me to call her out and tell her to leave me alone, but my heart feels another way. I know she hurt me a lot, but I loved her a lot. I do not know what to do. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Bro, have some self-respect. You clearly see the things she's done to you well enough to put it in writing. How do you follow that up with thoughts of getting back together with her? Don't even call her out, just block on all channels and move on. Seek therapy, because your self-worth must be in the gutter for you to even contemplate letting her back in your life. Right? Why contemplate getting back together with a person who disrespected him so much? Opie, listen to this. Have some self-respect. Don't even think twice. Block her completely and move on. Block and move on. You have come so far and I'm so proud of you. One cancer survivor to another. Remember what happened. Remember the chaos. Remember why you two broke up. Remember that when you needed her most, she left you. She was on Tinder a few hours later. She's currently with someone else and reaching out to you. Is this really a partner for you? Exactly. She hasn't changed a damn bit. As soon as she gets bored with Opie again, she's going to ditch him. Again. She's freaking trash. A trash girlfriend, a trash friend, and a trash human being. To go and brag about her private life enjoyments may have caused someone else in your shoes to unalive themselves. You don't need to give her any more of your precious time on earth. She might have changed, and good for her if she did, and forgiving her is good for you. But I wouldn't bring that type of person back in my life for a second. They absolutely destroyed your mental state, while you already was going through so much pain and anguish. She's awful, a fair weather friend, not worth a thought. Trash is so polite. I have more colorful words to call her, but the mods will get upset. Now for the update. I just want to start this post by saying thank you to those Redditors that had some advice and were supportive. I read through most of the comments, and I have to say, wow, I did not expect that. Shortly after I wrote this post, I had a breakdown which was not good. My ex triggered me because it brought back a lot of those feelings of abandonment, inadequacy, and feeling like garbage. It felt like a slap in my face to leave at my worst, and now is wanting to be a part of my life when I am at the highest moment. Luckily, I had support from my family, friends, and therapist who talked me through this period. My family and friends absolutely despise her, and thank God for them that I did not crawl back. I read through what I wrote again, and I am shocked at what cognitive dissonance I was experiencing at the time. So, after a couple of days, I went back to my journals and read out what I wrote about that experience. It was heartbreaking to say the least. Someone here mentioned codependency and feeling guilt, which is exactly what was going on. I was toxic and not good to her before we started dating, but I did a lot of work to become a better person. I felt emotionally guilty and responsible, and thus allowed this to happen. I did truly care and loved her, but what happened post-breakup is not something anyone ever freaking deserves. The one person who hurt me, and she slept with him right after we broke up? That just showed her true colors. I loved somebody who I never knew. Another thing that shocked me is reading over my journal that I had while we were together. The comments that she made about me being fat, despite being an athlete, and dressing poorly. Some even of the racial comments she made about how she wants mixed babies and fetishized me. I am biracial. She even deleted her BLM post the day we broke up too, despite being so much of an advocate for it. This is so messed up on many levels, and I am going to need extensive therapy to overcome that. I am lost for words and do not know where to begin. So what did I do? I told her in an assertive and kind manner not to contact me again, and that it was disingenuous what was going on. I know some Redditors told me not to do this, but I did not enforce the boundaries post-breakup, and she violated many of them, including following my mutual friends and asking about my well-being, people she never met before. So I had to draw that line at that. She's blocked off everything, and it will stay that way. I am never going back to that again. Started full-on therapy again today on a weekly basis, and really going back to healing before I can be involved with someone again. Funny enough, I ran into her former friend today, and she word for word said, "You can do so much better than that turd." I am going to take that advice and move forward now. Good things have only happened so far in my life, and it will continue to get better. Hey, glad to hear your update. Happy you turned her down. Sometimes we just need to trust our guts. Best of luck, man. Honestly though, do get therapy please, for being so confused about even needing to sort that out. She left you in your darkest time, when your life was at stake. Someone doing that has forever forfeited the right to even speak, or even breathe in your presence. How does she even have access to you? Block her everywhere. Don't ever let her address one single word to you again. Do this for you. Do this for yourself. Please. Try not to beat yourself up too much for wavering. I see situations like these as tests from the universe to see how healed you actually are. You know where the cracks in your armor are now, and connect accordingly. A core tenet of marriage vows is through sickness and health. Fortunately for you, your ex revealed that she was not a suitable candidate for marriage well in advance. Take the opportunity she has given you and run. Last story. I, 39 male, found out that I'm the literal backup to my pregnant fiance, 32 female, and walked out. She's begging me to go back. Not sure what to do. Bit of a very relevant back history. We first met 6 years ago in my then job, and we were just colleagues then. I split up with my ex 4 years ago roughly, and we started seeing each other casually 3 years ago, until she asked me if we could give it a go as a serious relationship just over 2 years ago. A lot has happened in the past 2 years. She had a preventive double mastectomy due to having the breast cancer gene. We both sold our respective houses, moved in together, got pregnant, and I proposed 6 months ago. She has been telling me the past few months she's so in love with me, can't wait to start our family, and even want more kids with me. We only plan to have the one, but because she's so happy, we were even saying she was thinking about having another kid straight after our first is born, so we could start our family before she has a hysterectomy due to the gene. So she went on a maternity last week, and we have 2 weeks to go before our child is born. Sod's Law said my phone died a few days ago, so I asked her if I could use one of her old ones until my new one came. She said of course, and told me which one, and said it should be empty really. Important thing to note here is that she actually has 2 of the same make but different models. So by mistake, I grabbed the wrong one and logged in, and said, "Oh, I thought it was blank." She said without thinking she must be baby-brained again, so to do what I want and delete anything I don't need. After a short while, I started going through the phone and see she has conversations with her bestie in there, and the last dates were just before we committed to each other. Basically, she was talking to her and literally weighing all her options up about having kids with before it's too late, and she was going over her backups. And I saw their chat about me. The consensus was I was the shortest and oldest of the guys she was seeing, but I had the best prospects. Most stable job, best personality, most common interests, funny, good in bed, and good looking, even if I'm not her usual type. So she said she was going to give it a go, and her friend encouraged her. Then I guess we started dating. The messages stopped when she was starting to go through her mastectomies and got a new phone. I just went like, "What the heck, babe?" out loud, and she initially was clueless, but realized what phone I had. She was mortified, and she was spiraling trying to explain herself but not making much sense. I literally told her to shut up, grabbed my stuff and walked out. I've booked into a B&B and have been staying here for a couple of days. She's been messaging me, sending video messages, literally begging me to come home, crying, so we can talk. But I can't face it. I feel so freaking humiliated and used. I've gone from the happiest I've been in years to feeling like my last couple of years is a bit of a lie. I keep going through the messages on one hand and thinking of the way she's been in the past few months on the other. Telling me how much she's in love with me, how happy she is, she wouldn't change the past couple of years, and how much she's looking forward to start a family with me. Saying things like she has an actual crush on me, even just sends me texts with a love heart on. I literally don't know what to do. Do I go back and talk? Or wait until she has the baby then go back and discuss it then? I am a literal mess, guys. Now for the advice. My guy, did you read what you actually wrote? She thinks you have the best personality, funny, good in bed, good looking even though you're not her normal type. And that was before you made an actual commitment. Now 2 years on, she's so in love with you, incredibly happy, and can't wait to have kids with you, to the point she's planning your second before your first is even here. And you're angry because she thought through her options before making a commitment to you? She compared you to other people she was also dating at a time. She talked to the people she trusts before making a huge decision? She hasn't done anything wrong, and you're letting your insecurity blind you. You're interpreting this as a humiliation because she brought up things you feel insecure about, when what actually happened was that she chose you for all the great qualities she always knew you had. You have a great relationship by your own account with someone who loves you and a new baby on the way. Why are you even thinking about throwing all of that away? All of this. Opie, you really need to read this. Not every relationship starts with a deer in headlights, madly in love movies type scene. This is real life. My husband asked me out before he thought I would be a good supportive wife, and didn't fall for me until after we were dating. When I found out, I was so upset. It really doesn't matter. I love him. He loves me, and I don't have any doubts about our relationship. I understand that you would be embarrassed or upset, but how you started out doesn't invalidate your current relationship. My wife and I dated a couple weeks in college, but because I wasn't madly in love with her, I pushed her away. We stayed friends, and over many years, I began to regret my decision. A few years later, she turned me down when I chased after her. I was just off a bad breakup. Remained friends and married a few years later. Happily married 10 years now. I knew I would fall in love with my husband the night we met. It was entirely his energy and obvious intelligence. He didn't exactly feel the same way. We pretty much spent the next 5 years hitting every milestone with a lot of hurt feelings on my end because he wouldn't commit without my direct input. We were as happy as any couple could possibly be, never broke contact from the day we met, spent every possible second together, had all the best things in common, were constantly surprised during conversations by our kismet, instantly stopped talking to anyone else we were seeing, hated being apart, and couldn't keep our hands off each other. He just wasn't sure if he was ready, or if I was the absolute best choice. It hurt me a lot. I wanted him to be as in love with me as I was with him, but he is a lot more methodical and intellectual than I am. People are just built different. You can either accept your person for who they are and know that your different perspectives help you blend together well, or you can pout and make yourself feel insecure. I chose the former. Opie, your wife is a different person from you, entirely different from her own processing skills and abilities. To take this as an insult means to ignore everything she's given you since committing, and that is honestly so self-centered. You want to blow up your child's life because she wasn't obsessed with you? You want to destroy your marriage because your wife was so valuable that she had options. You freaking won, and you want to throw a fit just because it was a competition? You didn't even go out of your way to commit to her immediately. You're projecting your insecurities onto her choices, and it's genuinely immature. Go hug that woman. We don't get to choose a lot in life, but she actively chose to commit to and fall in love with you. That is the most special thing in the world, especially coming from someone so methodical. If you make her active choice a bad one, trust me, you live to regret it. Because clearly she's always had a lot of value, and if you hold this over her, she'll go find someone that understands her better. Update. You're all right. I shouldn't just walked out and leave her while she's so vulnerable. I'm going to go home at least and be with her until the baby's here, and we'll see what happens there. Can't say I know long-term how I feel, or what will happen or that I'm that happy, but we'll tackle that when it comes.